welcome to my review of Aquaman. This was the final film in a triple bill that I was getting caught up with today, and it was also the longest film of the three. So you might think, going to be pretty bored of the cinema by now. No, it was kind of a save the best to last case. What a film. I mean, if you're a DC fan or a Marvel fan, I don't know whether some people are divided. To me, they're all pretty much the same. It's comic book stuff. Love it. I mean, how can you not? They spend like, what, £100 million on each movie? It's just spectacular to see at the cinema. And Aquaman was no different. No letdown whatsoever. I would note that I remember seeing Wonder Woman recently, and that's a DC one, and that's when Aquaman was briefly introduced. And I honestly didn't expect Wonder Woman, to be all that. I was thinking, what's this going to be like? And it was amazing. Absolutely brilliant. So for me, at the moment, I'd probably say DC is probably my favourite. I'd have to give that some thought, but all I know is this film was absolutely brilliant. Just loved it. It was on, its schedule running time is, 2 hours and 25 minutes? 146 minutes, isn't it? So that's 2 hours and 26 minutes. And, it did not drag at all. I mean, to be fair, I actually looked at the time when it finished, and it only actually ran for 2 hours and 10 minutes. And then you've got the 5 minutes, little bit of credit, and then you've got your final end sequence, as we come to expect with DC films. And then there was 10 minutes of credits after that. So it does technically run for, say, 2.5 hours, but the film itself is only actually 2 hours and 10 minutes. And that makes sense, because when I was watching it, I thought, my God, this film, it was just great all the way through. It wasn't boring, and it did not feel like 2.5 hours, but in reality it was 2 hours and 10 minutes. Just a brilliant film. So let's hit the top review points. Firstly, what do I give it out of 10? 8.5, I think. That might actually sound like a harsh mark after how much I've just bigged it up, but it's maybe a 9, between 8.5 and 9. Yeah, I'd maybe go to 9 actually. Feeling generous today. I gave Stan and Ollie a 9 earlier as well. I think I'd give Aquaman a 9 as well. Why not? The storyline was really good. Right from the beginning of the movie, it was a good storyline. Never got boring as the movie progressed. The main characters that were in it were really good. You even have Dolph Lundgren, one of my favourite action actors. He had a bit of a cameo role, wasn't one of the main actors, but like I say, the quality of the lineup was absolutely brilliant, so that helped. Aquaman himself is a bit of an awesome character, very likeable. He makes a good superhero. So yeah, just a brilliant movie. So yeah, let's go 9 out of 10. Do you need to see it at the cinema is the biggest yes that there possibly could be. I mean, this is just so important that you see it at the cinema. The action sequences are spectacular, as you come to expect, if you're spending £100 million on the movie. And also there's like, when they're underwater, it's a little bit like Avatar, the colorings. You know how the colorings on Avatar were just spectacular. I wish I'd seen it in 3D actually. I think it would have made a really good 3D movie. So yeah, I'd probably see that one in 3D if you get the chance. But the visual aspect of this movie was absolutely sensational. So whatever you do, see it at the cinema. I mean, you must. This is a must see at the cinema. I think like watching it at home would still be good, but if I saw this at home, might only give it like a 7.5 out of 10. Still would have been good, but it's the visually spectacular sequences that make it what it is, and you can only get the maximum benefit of that from the cinema. So yes, definitely go to the cinema. Sit as close to the front as possible, but you don't want to be so close that you're left and right head turning, because you've got to have it all in your peripheral in one shot. So sit as close to the front of the cinema as you can, as what you would feel comfortable. You don't want to be too far back. Sit close. I sat on the front row the main section. I was in a big screening, so you have that additional section at the front that is like crazy close. But of the main section, I was at the very front row, and that was perfect. I wouldn't have minded being a hint further forward. So yeah, sit close to the front. Definitely see it at the cinema. And of course, do we need to stay till the end? Well, I did you all a massive favour here. Firstly, you know that DC movies always have an additional sequence at the end. After the main credits, well, you know it's the main credits because there's still animation going on screen. So you know that when the animation's going on still, it wasn't anything fancy, but you know, just a colour screen rather than just a black screen with the credits rolling. You know that there's something still to come. And sure enough, there was a sequence not to be missed that gives you a hint of what might be to come in the next movie. So that was really good. You definitely want to hang around for that. And then I looked at my clock, and it had been on, at that point, it had been on for about an hour and 15. And then I sat until the very end of everything to find out whether we need to hang around and find an additional sequence, because you've probably been in them movies where you get that additional sequence and then, oh my god, there's another one and another one. I think it was actually Deadpool, Merry Christmas Deadpool, Once Upon a Deadpool. I think there was so many additional sequences, they just kept coming. Credits came back on, and then there was another one. And then one right at the very end. So I thought, right, I'm going to stay right till the very end. And sure enough, it was 10 minutes wasted. There wasn't another sequence. So you see the first end sequence. Once that's over, go. There's nothing more to see. Don't waste another 10 minutes of your life sitting there, because there is nothing more to see. So that's my public service duty done for there. I've saved you 10 minutes. And there's not a lot to say about the movie, really. I'm not going to tell you anything, of course. You don't need to know anything. If you've seen Wonder Woman, then you'll have had a brief introduction to Aquaman. He's awesome. He's a very cool character, and quite frankly, the whole movie was awesome. This was how the full life story of Aquaman, basically, how he begun, and the rest of the story that they want to tell you. I'm not even going to say anything, but it was very good. The whole movie was enjoyable. You don't need to know the crack. It's about an Aquaman dude. It's DC. They spend like £100 million budget on these movies. What more do you need to know? Go to the cinema, see it. You're going to be blown away visually, and the storyline was absolutely rock solid. I mean, I will say one caveat: there was an incredibly attractive lady role in it as well. So, you know, I'd be interested to know what the women might think. Was I slightly swayed, enjoying the movie slightly more because of how attractive this woman was, or was it good anyway? I'm pretty sure it was good anyway. And to be fair, I think the women would probably enjoy the male Aquaman dude. But that's, you know, by the by. It was a good movie, regardless of how attractive the main characters might have been, I would say. And it gave me a bit of a vibe about Thor. Had a bit of a Thor theme to it. I won't say any more than that, because I don't want to give anything away at all. But I think after you've watched it, you'll probably think, yeah, I know what he means about that Thor thing. So yeah, you don't need to know the plot. It's about Aquaman. Aquaman rocks. I'm looking forward to the next one already. DC and Marvel just keep bringing out more and more awesome characters, particularly DC lately, because Wonder Woman was also brilliant. And I cannot wait to the next one. Thank God for DC and Marvel, because what they keep producing at the cinema is must-see cinema action. Now, there's some movies, Vice, you know, I missed that at the cinema, and I'm thinking, well, does that really matter? It's probably the kind of film where you could just as happily watch it at home. You don't have to go to the cinema. You know, these DC, Marvel films absolutely 100% need to see them at the cinema. So make sure you get there, and if you haven't, then just make sure you've got a big TV at home so you can enjoy it to the max. So I'm going to leave it at that for this one. I haven't really got anything particular to say about the plot, you know, other than it was very enjoyable, very satisfying. I had a satisfying kind of last third. Sometimes the movie might not come together quite as you would expect or hope. For me, I was pleased with how the movie came together. So yeah, left me very satisfied, and looking forward to what they have to bring next, definitely. So let me know what you think. What did you enjoy most? And yeah, make sure you see it at the cinema. See you on the next review. Thanks for watching and listening.